And so I guess as we're talking about energy, if I'm not a factory or a utility, if I'm a household or if I'm a small business, why should I start thinking about how I use energy? I'll open that up to you, to Paula.
Okay, so thank you everyone to be here. It's nice to be here as well. Well, nowadays it is available not only for large companies, but customers, retail customers have access to clean and cheaper energy. The true transformation in energy must be inclusive. Clean energy needs to be accessible for both large companies and small consumers as well. And both play essential roles in building a sustainable future. So investing solely in large companies restricts impact and also perpetuates inequalities that we still have going around and access to cheaper and sustainable energy.
And Bruno, your company is doing work with businesses inside the country, but is also an international company as well. So how do you manage that scale with your international partners and your domestic partners?
First, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you talking about this. So we are the second largest biofuels producer based on sugarcane in the world. We're the second in Brazil, we are the largest here, and we use the base in Brazil to export. And our strategy is not only to produce biofuels, but to have byproducts of that system. So we have biomethane, we have energy cogeneration, and we have to be, as we go international, very responsible in maintaining feedstock availability. So we advocate, for example, to mix ethanol with gasoline in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions into third world countries. But we need to do that, maintaining and giving them a long-term sustainability of that supply chain.
And I'm coming from a country where climate change is becoming a lower priority, unfortunately. So for the folks that aren't as concerned about climate, but are maybe focused on reliability or cost, then what is the case that you make to your partners and your customers?
Today, we have the best greenhouse gases emission for transport, light transport in the world. Ethanol is something that you put in your car, you reduce greenhouse gases by 80% and still costs 30% less than gasoline. So where we need to go with this business is we need to go to the end. You can save greenhouse gases and be more cost effective for countries. And the other thing that we do when you talk about electrification is you need the same infrastructure for gas stations to use gas or ethanol. So you don't need to invest hugely in electric infrastructure. And for countries that do not have that access, it's an easy way to reduce that.
And same question to you, Paula. If I'm an individual and I'm not really that concerned about climate, I've got everything else to worry about, why should I start engaging with where I get my energy from?
Because it's cheaper, at least for that. So you have the idea of choosing your own energy supplier, paying less for that, and being certain that you're using renewable and clean energy. So at Electy, customers access the best renewable energy offers. We tailor them, we choose the best ones that won't fail through a simple 100% digital transactional end-to-end experience that talks the language of the customers. So in Brazil, it isn't, up to today, it isn't easy to understand your bill, your energy bill. So that's why Electy is aiming at the retail, bringing all that energy to us, our households, our small businesses, and not only the large companies as well. And also without installing anything, you have no cost at all.
That kind of answered my next question, but I'll ask it anyway. But you know, most people aren't familiar with terms like levelized cost of energy or carbon intensity. What message do you find is most compelling to your customers? What tends to win people over when you talk to them about purchasing zero emissions or low emissions energy?
Well, the way we actually access better our customers is not selling clean energy, because it seems clean energy, when we talk about this in Brazil, automatically they think it's more expensive. So it's cheaper. So this is why we're trying to teach the population that it's cheaper to buy clean energy, and it also benefits the world, it benefits sustainability. So that's what we're aiming at, trying to bring this to retail. And not only the large companies can do that anymore. Since 2021, regulation changed. So everyone can buy energy, pay cheaper, and that's what has been the main motto.
What does that look like in practice? Do I install an app? Do I have to call my utility? How does that work?
So it's a very simple, just a few clicks. You access Electy, and you say where you live in, you say if you are a company or a person, you say almost the amount of energy that you spend throughout the month, and on the next screen, they will show the offers that are directed to you in the region that you're living. And after filling out a few information, you just get the contract to this new energy provider, and that's it. And in 2 to 3 months, you'll start receiving a cheaper bill.
And Bruno, Paula mentioned a little bit about perception being something of a barrier. People have assumptions and stereotypes. And particularly with clean energy, some companies in the past have overpromised and under-delivered. You're like a vertically integrated company since you're producing energy and you're selling the credits. But how do you validate that? How do you prove that you're actually delivering on your promises? And then how do you convince your customers that you're actually doing that?
No, that's a great question, and we use international certification. So it's not us talking about ourselves, but you need somebody to look at you and to keep you honest in that sense. And what we do, we have certifications for ICSS, so we are viable to produce sustainable aviation fuel from our ethanol from all our plants. So we have people flying in from outside of Brazil, making sure that we have sustainable practices in the field, we have sustainable labor practices, we have inclusion practices, and as we position ourselves not only as a biofuels producer, but as a sustainable company, as we operate in the interior of the country, we have to be the best employer, we have to train our people, and we have to maintain our carbon intensity lower than the competitors. So using third-party surveyors helps me a lot as I'm managing the company. What are the things that we need to work about? And they help us looking at what are the trends. So we today are working on things for 3 or 4 years down the road because we believe that these will be requirements.
And same question to you, Paula. How do you validate or verify that a power producer is actually delivering on the clean energy that they promise?
We only use certified power generators. They're actually very big and famous in Brazil, big brands as well. So we are sure that all of those power generators connected at Electy, they are certified for clean and renewable energy as well. So that's how we guarantee that whatever is reaching your house is what we promised.
And you mentioned earlier there was a regulation change in Brazil, and Brazil is like an interesting laboratory. For those of us who are just visiting, can you get a little bit of a backdrop about what the energy mix and system is like in Brazil and why it's so suited to this kind of opportunity?
Of course. Until a few years ago, we could only, we didn't choose energy where it came from. It was actually decided by the distributors. And since energy prices are soaring and we are looking for new energy, clean energy, what has happened is the market is opening. Actually, we are migrating to some things called open energy, like we have in the banks, like we have in the telephone companies. So now the energy market is opening, and since I am now a client that is able to buy this clean and cheaper energy, where do I look at? I Google it. If I do that, there will be a lot of power generators that do not offer it to my house, and specifically to a customer like myself. So what we did was it made a lot of sense to build a marketplace where you could centralize all offers, and actually we are in over 20 states in Brazil. So if you live anywhere, almost anywhere in Brazil, you actually have one more offer that we can buy those and contract these cheaper and clean energy providers. So the marketplace is the place where you're sure they're certified generators and all offers are over there and explained in a language that you can understand.
Sure. And same to you, Bruno, like what makes Brazil unique in terms of its generation mix and its fuel mix?
I think Brazil, this is the place where Brazil planned well. So we've been doing that for 30 years. The first auctions that the government made were auctions at the year -6. So we had an auction, you had 6 years to build, and you build the backbone. With that, energy was available. And now you start to deregulate that market and allowing private, non-contracted players to come into that market and allowing customers to choose in an organized way. So it's not from one day to the other. The amount that you need to contract as a distributor company has been coming down. So this is what public policy does well. for us, we installed 8 co-generating plants. We have 130 megawatts of co-generating plants. We had power purchase agreements done. The power purchase agreements are now ending after 15 years, and now we're coming into the free market and operating with companies like them. It's great for us because we also have the ability to showcase our clean energy versus the other types of energies. And we understand that as we are a society, we need to change behavior, and giving them access, giving them the information, and allowing them to take a chance, it will bring clean energy as a requirement for the consumer. And we are wholesalers, but we believe that going to the final customer, it's something really interesting to increase the value of what we do.
And if I may, that's what we were talking in backstage. I mean, we can work together, and not only to the large companies, but offer energy to the retail as well. So that's what we do. We connect those dots.
So Bruno, if you're engaging with energy at different scales, how does that change your business model? How does that change? Are you competing now with the other traditional energy producers in different ways, or what other lines or opportunities of business are available?
So we are a biofuels and energy company. On the fuel side, we compete against the oil. So every time we talk about greenhouse gases, and we talk about, oh, sugar and ethanol, it's better, we compete against oil. So we don't compete against anything related to that. When we go to traditional energy, the greatest thing about Brazil is, if you don't sell your energy, you're able to inject it, and you're going to get paid a reasonable price on supply and demand. So we compete on good commercial strategies, we compete in good operations, but it is a commodity. In the end of the day, there's always a price somebody will buy from, which allows us to look inside and make us more efficient, look inside to make us our commercial agreements much better, to feed the customer. So these types of innovation that we try to bring into this traditional energy is really interesting. So partnering up with them is something that we really see an ability to increase our energy price and enhance green energy use. So it's and, not or.
Got it. And Paula, same to you. Are you competing with anybody in the traditional energy space? Is anyone doing any work like you in Brazil?
Well, Electy is the first, biggest, and only clean and cheap energy marketplace in Brazil. So no, we don't compete. What we do is we don't supply, we don't produce energy, we don't trade energy. What we do is partnership with companies like Bruno's, and we look for customers. And we actually have 2 major strategies to do that. Not only our only brand, but we are partnering up with big retail companies in Brazil, like Natura and Americanas, and they are selling energy for their clients, and the platform that makes that transaction is Electy. So it's not only Electy selling, it's the big brands also trying to offer it as a benefit for their customers. So we connect them to the big companies, so it's a B2B2C market.
So what are some of the challenges you're facing right now? What are some of the obstacles? Is it regulations? Is it customer understanding? Do you have enough energy to distribute to all the people that want it?
Well, we have a lot of energy to distribute. That was something that in the beginning of Electy we heard a lot. No, there's no energy to distribute. And I mean, I don't have to explain, he's here. There's a lot of energy that is available. But what I must say, maybe educate customers. Government should help us educate customers. We are trying to be the leader of this movement, but we need government to educate them better so it doesn't feel like it's a scam. Simplify the adoption process, because it's still too bureaucratic for you to, even though it's a few clicks, the process behind it is still too bureaucratic, so it could be simplified. And advocate for regulatory changes in favor of the consumer and in favor of clean energy and sustainability.
And with the global energy market being so volatile right now and all these different tensions everybody is facing, Bruno, I'm wondering, how do you navigate that challenge, and does your approach offer any stability?
We are, I think, in a crisis like that, I try to look at it as opportunity. So today we compete against the US on the ethanol market globally. And once the turmoil started, we started getting lots of quotes from other countries, and we're shifting supply from the US to Brazil. And here, we've been providing that for 30 years. So for us, it's an opportunity. As the global markets start, we have a solution that is cheaper and has less carbon intensity. And we're able to provide that. And governments are helping us in providing mandates of mixture. So there are countries like Japan that's introducing an obligatory mandate to mix 10%, 5% and then 10% of ethanol into their fuel. And that helps us increasing that market. So today we advocate to governments. We don't seek exclusivity, but we seek that if we grow the ethanol market globally as much, we're going to benefit. We're the second largest. So we don't like a tight market. We are on the other hand. We want to as open market as possible, and we want to access any markets that we can.
Mm-hmm. And of course, later this year, Brazil is going to be hosting the COP30 International Climate Conference, where countries around the world are going to be meeting to try to negotiate the next steps on climate change. Are either of you planning to attend? And if you meet there, what do you want the delegates that are visiting to learn from Brazil?
So I've been in the last 2 COPs, so UAE and Azerbaijan, and today Brazil has an amazing opportunity. In my view, no significant development was made in the last 2 COPs. And here, we have the ability to show, mainly in global south countries, that we have an energy solution that's cheaper, that's the easy adoption, and it decarbonizes. So it's and when we look at the integration between agriculture and biofuels, it's something that countries that have good agriculture can do the same, because you can produce food, you can produce energy, and you still it reduces the dependency on oil, which is, for us, our largest competitors. So we will lose an amazing opportunity in Brazil if we're not able to convey that message that the renewable energy and the biofuels that we have developed, both in biodiesel and ethanol in Brazil, is something that's completely scalable to global south countries.
And Paula, what do you think people visiting Brazil and seeing this work should learn from your example?
Oh, well, we are trying to decentralize energy, making it a little bit more democratic, allowing people to choose their own energy providers. Maybe the biggest benefit related to COP30, and yes, we will attend it, is the integration of big players, small producers, and a digital experience, strengthening decentralization. So the ability for you to choose your own energy provider and be a part of this movement regarding sustainability.
Great. We're at the end of our time. We have so much more to discuss, but we have a lot to look forward to. Please join me in thanking our panelists.
Thank you.